creating whatever we want to create. And in the world of ordinary, like you said, you take some actions and then something lands on your desk and you go, oh, I'll become a lawyer, or, oh, I'm going to become an accountant because my dad told me to, or that pays good money. And going back to that bit where you said being a victim, I think it's just really like believing that you can create your life, and it's being surrounded by people that inspire you, that you can go and achieve that.
In this episode, we will present you Sam's Bannister Mile. He has turned his loser mindset into an absolute winner mindset. He was bullied during his school time and was suffering from overweight. Now, he is a professional bodybuilder and entrepreneur. Learn from him how to materialize and realize your goals and dreams.
Your Bannister Mile, der Selbsthilfe-Podcast für dein Leben in Freiheit. Mit Clara, Lennart und Christian.
Hello, Sam.
Hi, Leonard.
Hi. Christian and Clara, you have to say hi as well.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Sam. How is it going? Where are you right now?
I'm currently just outside London in Beaconsfield, which is about 22 miles outside London.
Right, cool. Yeah, to give an idea how we met and why I'm so actually excited to have you on our podcast. So we met each other in London on coachings actually, and you shared quite often. You were sharing when we were talking about your story a bit, how you became the person you are right now, and you're 27, turning 28 tomorrow, and quite an inspirational person taking on many things in life. And you had your breakdowns and your roller coaster journey, maybe even more than the normal person. And this is something I'm really inspired by, since you are still very young and on the other hand, like taking on so many things. And maybe you can just, maybe we can take it from there and you can just start taking on the journey a bit for us and then draw the picture a bit. You want to draw, choose the color.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Leonard, for taking the time to get me on your podcast. I'm very grateful. So I'm turning 27 on Monday. So what I really want to talk about is putting your past in the past. So for me, just to paint you a picture, what that looks like is when I was younger, sort of growing up from 6 to 17, 18, I was a overweight kid. I'm quite badly dyslexic, so struggled in school academically. Being the fat kid at school that sings is not always a good combination. Yes. So that also created a little bit of friction with younger kids, doing as they do. They pick on you, they bully you. So from there, that already, I had not a bad start. I'm very grateful my parents put me through good schooling and did the best they could, did an amazing job. But obviously on the way there, you get some small speed bumps. And obviously I got bullied quite a lot. So that was where I started to sort of relate to people as a little bit like sort of, I'll show you. So being the nice guy, obviously never trying to cause any issues, get through life easily. But also underneath that, I started to create a thing of I'll show you the world. Do you know what I mean? I had a thing that I was trying to prove to the outer world that, I'm dyslexic, I'm fat, but I'll show you that I can do well. Which is a good thing, but also has a little bit of a negative way that you sort of see yourself. And from then on, if I fast forward, obviously I got out of school, I struggled quite hard in my GCSEs. My teachers weren't sure if I was going to get any. But again, that thing, I'll show you, I'll do well. I managed to sort of scrape on through. And then I'm quite creative. So I love sort of art. So I did art and I love business. I've always been a bit entrepreneurial. I've had a flair. I love selling, buying. I love sort of money. That's probably from my dad because he started up a few of his own companies. So even at school, I was a bit of a wheelie dealer. I used to go to these bulk stores where you buy Lucozade drink and then a small biscuit. And I used to sell a meal deal and make sort of 200% profit.
Excellent.
And I used to buy the Nike Live Strong, the Live Strong bands, and buy them in bulk from America and sell them on. So I always just to paint that picture, always had quite an entrepreneurial flair. And I did always used to exercise. I used to play a lot of rugby. Even though I used to do a lot of exercise, I didn't realise my nutrition was not brilliant, hence what kept me the same size. So I was always a bit porky, but playing sport. Then what I want to touch on today is sort of putting the past in the past and actually focusing on like goal setting. So I was very fortunate in year 10, so I must have been like 15, 16. The school I was at, Clare's Court in Maidenhead, just outside London, they had a speaker come in, and he had this triangle of like success. And it's so funny because this is where my journey of like mindfulness and like understanding and sort of re-observing started. I think maybe Leonard probably knows from coaching, I really like get humans, and I understand about like what you say, what you create, what you put down, and actions that you take will lead you like in that path. So going back to when I was at school, this guy came in and he had his pyramid of success, and he then did this game where he read out a load of random words, say like a woman, a bikini, an elephant, a car, a tricycle, and he sort of read off like, I think about 20 different random things. And the first time he goes to all of us, he was like, who can remember them? And obviously the kids, some people like could remember 5 or 6, and I couldn't remember any of them. And then he said, okay, I'm going to paint a picture now. This is about creative learning. So he was like, you've got a sexy woman in a pink bra, like driving a awesome red Ferrari. And it was really fun. Then he asked everyone again, and my brain, because of creative, I like clicked on it, and I actually could remember way more things when he was painting that story. And that's just actually where my journey of like positive thinking and mindfulness and looking into books like Anthony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Think and Grow Rich, all of that stuff just started to open up. And I remember going home to my mum and dad. I was like, Mum, Dad, this amazing guy came in. And actually at the same time, they'd already sort of heard of things like that. And I think as a family, we started reading the books and Think and Grow Rich. I printed all it off and I was reading it as often as I could. So that's when I started writing down goals. So I went to sort of A levels to do PE, art and business. And I sort of wrote down that I wanted to achieve a certain grade. I wanted to also focus on like passing my driving test in a short period of time. And again, sort of one of my other goals was, at the time I was still overweight. I sort of really questioned like why I couldn't be in shape like lots of my rugby friends. Mm-hmm. Obviously being like 17, 18, guys are getting into girls as you normally do. And the rugby guys were all lean and took their tops off, and everyone was like, oh, but for me, I could never take my top off. So that was where like my first sort of going into the physique side of stuff was a question like, what is different about me? Why can't I have that physique? Why am I currently overweight? And then what I did, I wrote down a goal to work at a clothing store called Abercrombie and Hollister. Yeah, and they were quite, they had the guys outside and they were very in shape. And I remember I went there and I was like, oh, I'd love to look like that. And that was sort of where my creation of like, I want to be in shape. And that's where the dream was seed was planted. Sort of fast forward from there, I then went on to Peter Jones Business Academy. He's an entrepreneur and he created a school for entrepreneurs. So it was brilliant. It was like a 9 to 5 where you had to start up create a new startup. You had to write business plans. You had to do pitching for real investment. We went and did like a work placement. We also created a social enterprise. So that again was amazing for me, a platform to create sort of ideas and put them into practice. Mm-hmm. And from then on, I sort of realized, okay, I want to own a chain of gyms. And in creating like that in my head, I then had to plan where I was going to go, right? So I had to, this is where the sort of the point of getting to the past is I was fortunate enough to sort of start to network with individuals that saw me in a different way. So by that, I mean, forgetting about like who I was before, I then sort of, at 17, 18, I started to transform my body. So basically I started getting into fitness. I started running. I halved my food. My knowledge wasn't great, but I thought if I expend more energy and I take less on, I should lose. So about 17, 18, that was when I lost my weight. And I actually went up to Hollister in London at Westfield, which would be a shopping mall. And I was in there and I kid you not, I walked in for about 4 or 5 minutes, looking, and someone came up to me and they said, hi there, I'm one of the recruiters for Hollister. Would you like to come for an interview?
That's awesome.
I was like, damn, this stuff works. Like, I was like, do you know what I mean? And it wasn't like airy fairy stuff. It was like, okay, I had a dream. I took some actions, I lost weight, and then obviously I went into the shop, which obviously was going to create an opportunity. If I hadn't gone in, it never would have happened.
Yes.
And then from then on, I obviously got recruited, and then I worked there for about 4 or 5 years and met lots of amazing people. And that was sort of the start of my sort of fitness, modeling, and fitness lifestyle change. So from that point, I then was ready to create what I wanted. I wanted to build a brand and get into the gym industry. So I had to then take actions to continue my sports science, which I had already done at A-level. And then I practiced at an intense course where you become a personal trainer. And then from there, I was like, okay, I need to look at a job. I need to get a job, because at the time, the crash had all come. And unfortunately, my family circumstances had changed. I was a little bit like, I had to support myself. So I was like, okay, how can I make this work? So I had to organize a loan, which my mum helped me with, to pay for the course. And then I was already proactive in like, okay, I need to get a job. And lots of people get stuck in like this, again, going back to past. Oh, I can't get a job until I've got the qualifications. And I was like, well, all the best blaggers, like Richard Branson, they're like, fake it till you make it, right? So I was like, okay, so I organized an interview at David Lloyd, which is a big gym franchise. And I was like, I went for an interview before I'd even had my qualifications, because in my head I was like, I had to make things ends meet. My loan would run out at the end of the course, and I have to start paying it back. So I went there, I gave everything, and I got the interview. I did my interview, and Shane, the manager, was like, it was one of the best interviews he'd ever had. So that again was like, my past would have been like, oh, I can't do this. And from our current, current conditioning in the world, no one sees possibility. Like, people be like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do it until it's done. And then everyone jumps on the bandwagon as soon as you've like made your money or completed something. They go, oh, I knew you could. But before then, no one had possibility, right? So that, again, that was from like reading those books and actually thinking, okay, I was this way. I'm not a fixed being. Like, I didn't have to stay as Fat Sam, who I used to be related to at school. That's what they used to call me, right? I was like, I'm going to create a new future. I want to be Sam who's like a model. I want to be Sam who's successful and makes a difference in the world, and that has an impact. So obviously I worked at David Lloyd. Oh, sorry, no, yeah.
No, I have just one question to summarize it. Or not to summarize, but so you started, so the starting point and your beliefs was really, I'm fat, I'm stupid, like I'm fat because like everybody's just bullying me. I'm stupid because I can't make even school. And this was your childhood. So your teenage years where everything starts actually. And this is the thing like I find really interesting is like coming from this set of beliefs and like from this reality. It's not just a belief, it's a reality, to basically taking actions and creating the future consciously you want to live in, right? Is that something which is resonating? Or Christian and Clara, I don't know what you get out of so far what Sam is sharing, because this is something I would like to really focus on, because it's just impressive how you turn it around.
Well, I mean, what I find very fascinating is, and it's another proof. You said, Leonard, you just said it's kind of reality, but I would want to dispute that or to discuss that, because of course it's a certain kind of reality, but it's a reality which is put onto us from outside. Yeah, I mean, would Sam have grown up or went to school where for whatever reason people did not have the point of view that you have to bully a kid which is fat, but it's just normal, just a different shape, the reality would have been different. So I think when I listen to Sam, what happened for me is that his true reality, just was stronger, and you learned, how to really get it out, and how to basically create, how to sort the molecules in the world and in your surrounding, in a way how you want it, and not let how other people see you determine your reality. I think that's how I would summarize it. I don't know what you say, Sam, to that.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. So obviously the reality I was in at the time was, like you said, people were painting that picture of you're fat. And as a normal human being, it is normal to be, okay, this is the past, and then let's put it into the future, right? So if you're going, for example, a job interview and you're earning 50,000, and then you go for a new job, and then you're like, well, maybe this time I can earn 55,000. Do you know what I mean? And that's the normal way the human being brain is like created, right? That you go up a small step, but you can have those leaps where people believe and they go from 50 to be like, I want to be a millionaire within a year or two. I have some friends like that who've literally gone from earning nothing to creating business and selling it for a few million. And like you said, that is the conditioning around. And that's where I think, yeah, it's an internal belief that you trust and you sort of hope and you create that there's something better out there. And then that's the thing. It's not settling, I think. And I'm very fortunate. That probably is from my dad as well. From his upbringing, he sort of always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and his family were very rigid, like go to university, become an accountant, or go to the, do you know what I mean? And he was very dyslexic as well. So he went out, started his thing. So I think I owe a lot of that sort of conditioning to my dad as well. In helping create that future.
What I would find extremely interesting to know from you is were there certain particular moments which made big shifts, or was it a kind of continuous journey, or were there some I mean, I remember for me with the singing, for example, I think the day I decided I will go and do this also professionally was when I was singing a choir concert, with my choir, and I was singing in the choir then, and it was such an incredible moment, that I was just the last, at the end of the concert, my tears were running, and it was such a thing. Wow, I need to do that. So that was a very strong thing, and of course then. You take steps, and what you said, the technical, the outer steps you need to take. But were there some kind of particular moments for you where you say, boom, that's something which changed it?
And I want to add something to this, Christian, which is really interesting. Again, this being bullied and being overweight. So, for people who haven't been overweight or being bullied, it's just like it's two words. So they can't really, maybe they can't really feel what you have experienced, because I think it's much more than just those two words. From my perspective, how I through the sharings from you, Sam, and to the experience, it's a way more because it makes your personality up. Do you know what do you know what I mean? Because for people who haven't experienced this, it's way more than just those two words. You know what I'm communicating. I just want to add this to Christian's point, because it's important to see the starting point a bit.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm getting from that is that if you haven't been bullied or haven't been overweight, are you saying how people relate to it, or?
Yeah.
Or do you mean go into a bit more depth about that, just to paint the picture of what it looked like, or do you mean, or sit on the court?
No,
or do you mean?
No, actually, because, actually, just the. No, I'm losing my train of thought. Anyways, maybe we can just start with Christian's question: how you where the big breakthroughs were.
Don't worry, it's normal. It happens to all of us. I was thinking earlier. I was like, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? Oh, what if my brain turns off?
Yeah, no.
I think it's even the same for all, even the professionals that do all this stuff.
Absolutely.
That same always already thinking that goes on a little tangent. Yeah. So going back to that point, was there definitely were a few turning points where you start to create. There's times when you have more inspiration, and that's probably that's an interesting point you're saying that. So if I'm going back to when my body started to sort of when I wanted the transformation of my body, for example. Yes. And obviously this does apply as well when my business sort of transformed and I took the steps. But one of the things was pressure, which I'm quite a believer on, is I'm quite good under pressure. When something's on me and I have to make a choice, and I've had enough, that's when you drive and strive something better. So it definitely was that point at when I was younger, 17, when I went to sixth form, and there was more girls. It was a mixed. Before then, it was all boys school. So whatever. But when we went to mixed school, there was women around, the girls, and obviously that point there was actually I've had enough. I want to start girls fancying me. So for me, again, that was like a pressure point of like, okay, time to do something. And that was when I chose, I can't remember what I must have listened to something, but it was like, I just made a decision. I think it was something like Will Smith, maybe, one of his videos when he says, when I decide, I just do it. I was like, I don't go back. And it's sort of, I thought about it and I gave up chocolate and biscuits and stuff. And that was the time when I lost my weight. In about 3 months, I dropped about 3.5 stone. I just did like running every day, a long distance. Started like literally only a mile, like not even a mile, I couldn't make it. And then I did one day of sprint work where I sprinted 100 meters and then walked back. So I just sort of used 2 different energy systems and halved all my food, nothing special. But yeah, from that, there was definitely a point where I go, okay, decision made. I want to change something. And that's when it started. And then also, like, you know, probably like anything, right? If you're going to succeed, there's the time you make the choice. And then when the inspiration's high, that's when you want to get the momentum, because naturally inspiration is like an up and down thing. It's like feelings, right? One minute I feel like training, the next minute I can't be bothered. Or like one day I feel like getting up and working, and the next day I can't be bothered to get up at 5 a.m. But do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to creating that future, that like stand or that possibility of like, yes, I want to be this particular way. I want to have this dream. And that's, I think, the key to all of this, like even getting out of it for anyone that listens to this, is you've got to have something bigger than yourself to live into. So you've got to have like a dream out there. And I even have one to this day. Like I shared it with Leonard, like I want to have a chain of gyms like David Lloyd that make a big impact on people's lives. And I also want to be able to talk in front of 90,000 people at like a stadium. Like, you know, Les Brown or Tony Robbins. Like, that's just my goal. And it might seem crazy now. Wembley, yeah. So it might seem crazy now, but that's just what I'm living into. So I've got to make sure my actions are in line with that, and I impact people, and I try and create it. So yeah, to your point, I think there's a time when you choose, and then you've got to put in a plan in place. So like my thing is plan your work and work your plan. So I have to try and do the steps. It doesn't just happen. It's not like, oh, I thought about this dream and it appeared. You like think of it, take an action. Think of it, take an action. Then relook, think. Does that help? I think that's
yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, how would you, when you are in this flow, which you described now, and which you obviously are, yeah. What's the difference in like, let's put it like this, like energy signature in comparison to when you were the fat dyslexic boy, so to say? How would you describe this? I mean, I don't know, in colors, in whatever you want, but I mean, what's the difference?
Well, it's funny you say that, because actually it's lighting me up, you know, when you get a bit like from you saying that, because if I think back to who I was before, I was the poor fat kid. I used to go home and cry and just sort of eat loads of food to change my feelings and think I couldn't make a difference. So now, like, the flow of energy is like, I get up and I'm normally massively hyper. Some of my clients are like, what have you taken this morning? So like, yeah, and I have to sort of say a lot of that's from conditioning and like learning, but a large percentage of like that change of flow was down to me taking part in the Landmark Forum, where I was able to actually completely put my past in my past. Because sometimes, you know, it creeps back in your head. Like we have this thing I have this thing, and I found it quite common, is we'll be taking actions, but there's always, like I said earlier, that little voice that goes, oh, you can't do it. Yes. You're still the fat kid, or you remember your parents didn't have much money then, or whatever that is, that creeps back in. But now what I've on the journey of doing is shutting that off. So I don't even listen to it. Like it's like a traffic going by. When it talks, I just go and I create in my head what my possibility is. And I'm sure Leonard could probably say like the same thing. That's sort of what I created at Landmark, was catching yourself, creating a possibility, catch it when it goes, don't listen, keep taking action, and not getting absorbed by like the negative thoughts in our heads.
I have a question to you. I will talk in German and Christian can translate. Ich bin nicht sicher, ob ich das vorhin richtig verstanden habe bei deiner Geschichte. Du hast ja diesen Menschen erwähnt, der zu euch in die Schule kam und der der dir gezeigt hat, dass wenn du eine andere Perspektive einnimmst, also wenn du eine Geschichte dir bildlich vorstellst, dass du dann eben nicht mehr der dumme Mensch bist, sondern dass du dann tatsächlich auch genauso viele Begriffe wiedergeben kannst wie deine Mitschüler oder sogar mehr, einfach weil du es aus einer anderen Sache heraus angehst. Und da würde mich interessieren, ob das auch einer dieser Schlüsselpunkte war, wo du gemerkt hast, ich muss es einfach nur von der anderen Seite betrachten und dann kann ich genauso viel wie andere.
Interesting question. What Clara said, you mentioned before, this teacher who came to school and had this pyramid, yeah, and she would be interested. Was this basically the difference by looking at things from a different perspective? That this shifted something in you, because before, nobody looked at it like this, because it was the standard thing what you do, and suddenly someone comes and gives you a total different point of view. Did this make a difference for you? Because then, as far as we understood it, you then could memorize the stuff, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. That was one of those moments. Like, I'm a massive believer. Sort of what you said before, was there a moment of like boom? I think there are things like that is like that moment of like transformation, or that moment of inspiration where your brain does, you click. It's like, so 100% that was one of those moments where I was present to this guy's pyramid of success, where I think it was probably quite basic. I can't remember his name. I'd love to say it on here to give him some acknowledgement. But, it's just like the patterns of success. So like you have to do your plan, you have to do this, have to do that. And at the top was obviously success. And it's a pyramid that he was like when he's done interviews, he's like every successful person has done this consciously or subconsciously, to get to their goal.
But I mean, would you say it was the change of perspective that helped you?
Yeah. It definitely opened me up from like the normal ways of learning, right? Like at school, you're taught and then you learn, you taught. This was a different way where he was like, it shifted my brain, like you said, and I remembered through a more creative way of learning. I don't know if you could call it transformational learning or whatever, but in that moment when he shared it and he demonstrated it, and then used us as the demonstration, it then made me think, oh, actually, when you are more creative and you follow this pattern, there are techniques to success. So definitely it shifted my perspective on.
Ja, das war das Gefühl, was energetisch rübergekommen ist, als du das erzählt hast, weil auch vorher wusstest du ja wahrscheinlich schon, dass es hilft, weniger Süßigkeiten zu essen oder mehr Sport zu machen. Und trotzdem hast du es danach erst aber umgesetzt und hast gesagt, du machst jetzt was draus.
Clara said that this was what she energetically felt when you talked about this, but because, I mean, theoretically you knew already before, if you eat, less sweets or do more sports, that it should go somewhere, but suddenly someone comes and gives you, looks at the same thing from a different perspective, and I think it's for all of us like this, and suddenly we go like, oh yeah, wow, boom, yeah, because I mean, to be honest, I had situations in my life where people told me something, and then I couldn't do it, or I didn't do it, and then whatever, 3 years later, someone else tells me actually exactly the same thing, however, with a total different point of view, and it's totally easy to just do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's always in the listening, isn't it? Like you said, it was probably straightforward. I mean, I probably didn't have that good understanding back then, because that was like year 10, 11. But like you said, that then made me see that you can create goals. And then later on, when I obviously was listening to more positive thinking stuff and like really wanted to get into a place of fitness, though that, like you said, when that whatever seed was planted, I can't remember what it was when I made that choice, but when that was planted, like you said, my brain goes, oh yeah, and that's when I was like, I've got the tools now, and like a different listening, and it landed, and I took action. So
Interesting.
Is that sort of does that answer?
Yeah.
And I can recall the question I was having earlier, actually, and this is maybe a question for you, Sam, as well, because what I wanted to make clear again earlier was that you were, and everybody knows those people somehow, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but you were a proper victim in school, basically, like really the stereotype victim, which didn't have maybe friends. I don't know, like I wasn't at that time with you. But now knowing you, like Sam is really a person, he cries in front of people, he hugs people, he loves hugging. So he's not just about, no, he's not seriously, because like when you hear to Sam, it's maybe just like, yeah, he's doing business and he likes bodybuilding, but this is not just like Sam, really. He's like super emotional. It's not just faking and running around in order to, I don't know, just get super rich, or it's really not, this is not Sam. Like Sam is really like, he loves hugging, really. This is like
perfect. I love hugging.
Sam loves hugging.
That is true.
And the question now is, coming from this like absolute victim mentality to where you are right now, and I know many people from my degree as well, like which are at the end of 20s or beginning of 30s, who have no clue what to do with life, and are just like still victims. What can you recommend those people, and maybe as well people who have been bullied, who are still maybe overweight, or proper victims? What can you tell them from your experience?
Yeah, do you know what? That is a brilliant question, because I have to say, a lot of people say to me, I hear it, and actually, Abby, my partner, sometimes she goes, I always ask her, like, what do you want to do? And she doesn't always know. She's like, oh, I'm not. And some people say, oh, you're lucky you knew what you wanted to do. And going from that, you said that victim thing is, I didn't really know. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all here just creating whatever we want to create. And in the world of ordinary, like you said, you take some actions and then something lands on your desk and you go, oh, I'll become a lawyer, or, oh, I'm going to become an accountant because my dad told me to, or that pays good money. And going back to that bit where you said being a victim, I think it's just really like believing that you can create your life, and it's being surrounded by people that inspire you, that you can go and achieve that. So firstly, sort of, I think the key would be acknowledging like where you are. So be like, okay, I'm fat. I can't blame that I'm big boned. I can't blame that my mum didn't do this, or I can't blame that I don't understand. You've got to own it first. That's probably the key, is like, okay, do you know what I mean? Sit with it, be like, and be with that feelings. Okay, I'm fat. I need to do something about it.
So take responsibility for yourself, basically.
Yeah. And because the crap thing is, no one else is going to take responsibility for it. Like it's your fault, right? So like it's your issue. No one else's. No one cares if you're overweight or you're unhealthy. Like it's your health. It's the only thing you can't buy is health, right? And well-being. So yeah, take responsibility first, and then just play with life. You know, like be a bit more playful. Like I loved training, and I always remember listening to Duncan Ballantyne, who owned gyms. He is another sort of successful business guy in the UK from Scotland. And I love the idea of him like running businesses. And one of my best friends, his dad, Mike, had loads of businesses like health care homes, tractors, rental, do you know what I mean? And a food company. And I just love that. I was fortunate enough to be exposed to that, which then helped my brain create. And I was like, well, if he could come from nothing, he made his first million selling sandwiches or something, like a sandwich company, then why can't I do it?
Yes.
So yeah, owning the circumstances and being like, okay, well, I can wallow all I want, but nothing's going to change till I take an action. That's the first bit. Then, Leonard, I would probably say write down, like Richard Branson. Every day he writes down business ideas. He's not just some magical guy. He literally just writes down his ideas. He gets what's up here and puts it to paper. And then it's one step closer to becoming reality. And I remember some days I'd write down like making like weed brownies or like selling, doing anything. He said, whatever comes in your brain, just write it down. I think that's the key, is getting into a creational like space where you go, okay, my circumstances are this, but what do I want to live into? So like creating something to live into that you like. And I have to be honest, sometimes I think of obviously my gym stuff, and there's times where things get tough when employees leave. Like at the moment, I'm trying to recruit, and you put your heart and soul into something, and it really knocks you for six. And you're like, I'm working so hard for this, but these speed bumps keep coming up. Is this a sign that I shouldn't do it? And I doubt. I'm like, okay, maybe I should take a different path. But I think that's part of just being a human, is that you just got to keep living into whatever the dream is ahead. Yeah. And if you don't have a dream, I'd realize Leonard goes back to earlier, is that I'm actually really squishy. And that's one thing that I got from doing the Landmark Forum, is I used to lock all my emotion away from being bullied. My thing was, you show emotion and you're weak.
Yes,
Big
yes.
stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And that was lived deep with me, that I could never cry. It would come to here. And I honestly could say, like, I probably could cry now when I'm inspired. I get moved by films and anything. So I think getting in touch with who I am as a human and the love that I have for people was one of the big steps, is actually look at what moves you, what inspires you, like what films do, what music does. And then you could maybe create a link and just put like a melting pot of all your ideas and then start taking actions. And remember, like, there is no right or wrong, and it isn't what it isn't, and it isn't what it is. And you just live, and it sounds like mean, but we're all here. The only things we are certain about is death and life being uncertain. So like, play the game and have some fun. And
well, that's a beautiful picture which you just painted now.
Yeah, it's very good. Thanks. Yeah.
So I think that's, obviously it's not always rainbows and butterflies, right? But that's what I try and bring myself back to. And I'm lucky to have people like Leonard, yourself, and like Abby and my friends and like the community at Landmark, where we all see possibility. Like we know that we get upset, you share it, and then you recreate something. And I think that's all you can do as a human, is just keep living into possibility and like keep sharing, and then keep standing for each other, for like their greatness.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Wow. I mean, this almost sounded like an amazing final statement for this episode. We should do many more with you, of course, but I don't know, because you also have a bit of a time issue today, I think. What do you think, Leonard? Because this was just, I really was like, whoa, the energy was coming.
Yeah, I was really inspired actually what Sam told us. Yeah. What do you think, Sam? Like, you are the person who has time pressure.
Yeah, no, I've got another 10 minutes. So just like pick your questions.
Yeah, really whatever like you want to share. I mean, you were sharing so many things, because like I was really in an intense relationship with Sam over the last 3 months. You can maybe whatever you want to share with our listeners, which might be interesting, or whatever breakdowns you overcame, which you transformed, where other people could learn something from. Just look into your life, where you can share the wisdom you have, and where you can inspire other people.
Anna, Frage.
Ja.
Ja. Gab es außer dieser Mobbing-Situation oder dieser Situation, wo du dich selber so unwohl in deinem Körper gefühlt hast, irgendetwas, wo du gesagt hast, dass das passiert ist, oder dass ich das erlebt habe, hat mich in diese Weisheit gebracht, dass ich halt wirklich dieses eine Leben habe und das jetzt einfach umso mehr genießen möchte?
Oh, that's a good question. Clara is asking, beside this mobbing situation in school, was there another or other experiences or other kind of things which happened, particular points which happened, which brought you in this what she's called wisdom, which you have today, and which kind of brought you further and got you to this point where you are today?
Yeah, massively. So if I go back to my fitness journey and I'm a business, I went for that interview. I got that position at David Lloyd, and I sort of again wrote down my goals. I try every year to write down goals that are quite specific, because if you're more specific, the more you live into it. And I gave myself a year to work there, and I wanted to get as many sort of clients as possible. And then the thing was to try and find my own place. So I went to David Lloyd. I set all my goals. I broke all the records for like sessions sold. I got like personal trainer of the year and like employee of the month. And that was then where I actually put sort of the goals and the achievements into action. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So where I said to my manager, I was like, set me a goal, and I was like, say there's something at the end, and I'll show you I can do it. And this is perfect because this is my act, right? I'll show you I can do it. So I remember my goal was to sell a certain amount of sessions in the month. And we had our meeting 2 days or day before the month, end of the month. And he was like going through, he's like, by the way, you said you were going to hit this target. You're still 40 sessions short. So that's 40 personal training sessions I had to sell. And so in my inside of me, I was like, I'll show you, I can do it. So literally that day and the next day, I managed to I called up some potential clients that were members. I was like, come and do a session. And I managed to, I don't know how on earth it happened, but within literally like a day, I managed to sell 45 sessions to two new clients, or like 3 new clients, sorry. And I think, again, that was when I was like, oh my gosh, like how powerful you can be if you like don't give up. Because I remember having some people there, a client, and they didn't buy the package. And instead of being like, oh no, poor Sam, I can't do it, I was like, F it, I'm going to keep going. And so I just called another person. And then I asked someone downstairs who's a potential client that could come in to the gym, a member. And so, to your question, that was sort of me really seeing it in practice. Instead of it being like these nice positive speakers that you don't see it. For me, I was like, oh, whoa, like you actually can set stuff and you can really make stuff happen when you take action. Mm-hmm. And then from there, if I sort of jump forward, that's after the end of the year it was about a year and 2 months, I managed to, again, this goes back to health. I was so focused on working and earning money, I actually made myself a little bit unwell. I had mumps, which is like where your glands I had to take 3 weeks off work, and there was basically a bit of a kerfuffle with David Lloyd, where that month I'd like sold the record amount before, and then there was a kerfuffle about them paying me basically, and so that was the moment, which was again a brilliant moment where I said, screw this. I'm not earning like $7,000 for a company and then not going to try and pay me my sick pay. And they did in the end. So I don't want to say any negativeness towards that, but that then gave me that moment to be like, I've got to change this. So then I had my business plan in my head, what I wanted to create. I then looked through, I was quite intuitive. I used to look at my clients online. I see their LinkedIn profiles, see what they would do, because obviously personal training can be quite expensive as well. Like, so you just want to check out people. Yeah. And one of my clients' husbands was the 10th most influential man in finance. And I was like, oh, he could be a good guy to know. I then basically said to the wife, I was like, I've got this idea. Please, can I meet your husband? And she was like, yeah. And she was an amazing person in my life, like a real stand for like me creating my business, Lemon Studios. I know no one can see it, but that's the company brand. It's called Lemon Studios Personal Transformation. Uh-huh. And she she was awesome. She could see my vision. So I basically went to the house, gave my business plan to Mike, and bless him, like he said it was awesome. And he was that's where my new business started. So they had a space, an out office. And I was like, well, I renovate it. If I like rip it down and everything, and I'll pay for the kit to go in. And they said they would help towards renovating it anyway, because they wanted to change it into a pool house, a thing. And I was like, I can make that into my first gym. So that was where the step. That was where the step went, and that's where Lemon Studios started. So again, I'd say I had to create it. Some people be like, oh, if you hadn't heard the story, they'd be like, oh, he's lucky, he met someone. Mm. No, I went and found him. I went and gave him my business plan, and I was like, can you make this happen with me? And I was lucky enough to have someone that kind, and to then support me on the journey. Yes, yeah. So again, like that's my thing of create it. And then there's some amazing people. Like there's a lot, well, people are amazing in general, but there's some amazing people out there that really want to make a change. So again, that's surrounding yourself with people that can see possibility. And I was lucky enough to meet Becky and Mike, and they could really like see my journey. And I still remember the wife saying to me, you remind me of like 3 great people that she'd met. And like one of them obviously was her husband. He's very successful. He owns a company on the stock market. But then she also knew Richard Branson, and then she's like, "You're the third." Like, wow. She was like, and it makes me tingle, when someone says that about you. And back then, I was just a PT from the gym. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, basically, what really for me is the red line. I mean, we only met like not even an hour ago the first time, and what is really the line for me is that you just took action. So you didn't sit there and say, I'm the victim, I'm like so poor, and the universe is so bad and everything is so bad. And you just said, F it, so to say, and just took actions. And you also took very planned actions. So you just didn't do any action. You said, okay, what's the plan I need to do? And how do I get further? And, plan to talk to this person. And before you talk to this person, you surely had your business plan made, so you know what to say, you know how to present it, and you really went. For me, it's an amazing mixture what you present here, from intuition and also really task management, so to say, or and this is very 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 nice. So it's it's a very balanced energy. I think that's how I would describe it. Because sometimes, people are over planning and over intellectualizing, and then they're missing the emotional part. And some other people are very emotional only, and basically not really coming to this action, And this I find absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think just to finish on, like the last bit I'd say is, to anyone listening, and I think there's always going to be speed bumps and knockbacks in whatever you want to create. Like, life is not a nice winding road. You're going to get shocks, like premises blow up on you, family members die, heartbreak, illness. And it's just like, every time you take a knockback, try and see it as a possibility and a new opportunity to grow as a person and change your life in the right direction that you want it to be. And also, don't ever listen to people that say you can't actually do it. And I know that's a very cliche thing, but it's really just, it doesn't matter. Just respect them. That's what they're saying. Obviously, you have to be rude, but whatever they say does not matter, because it's your vision and your dream, and you've got to go and chase it. Because Les Brown says in one of his videos that there's a dream given to each and every one of us, and that one was given to you. So you've got to go run and take it, right? And that's the truth.
Wow. Awesome.
So inspiring.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Leonard, do you want to make the English outro? I do the German afterwards?
Yes, sure. Why not? Just the last word, maybe, because Sam and myself, we met each other at Landmark in London, and I think we can both really recommend to people, because I know that Sam has really done his journey with Landmark as well, parts of it, and I think people who want to look at it, I can highly recommend it, Sam as well. Just as a side note, when people want to maybe see as well how Sam got supported as well. And I know that it has a big influence on his life and on my life as well. So that's something I can
put the link.
recommend. Yeah, sure. We put the link in the side notes. Yeah, in the show notes. The outro. Sorry, Christian. No more advertisement here. No, not paid, by the way. To everyone, basically, and Sam, this is a message to you as well. To everyone who is running or who has run a Bannister Mile before and who wants to show new opportunities, new possibilities to people. And show the possibility and give them this vision of their future. Just drop an email at yourbannistermile.com. The lovely Jana will reply and get back to you. I'm still with Jana. Jana was the last podcast guest.
You're so funny, my friend.
This was not intentional. Anyways, but Clara will get back to you and we'll discuss further questions. And Sam as well, if you know people who have run Bannister Mile, please just forward my contact and they can get in touch with us. And check out our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to it. Check out our socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. And just keep on sharing the message.
Genau, jetzt noch kurz in Deutsch. Für euch da draußen, danke, dass ihr wieder dabei wart heute. Und wie immer, bitte, die Informationen findet ihr, also zu Sam und zu anderen Dingen, die wir besprochen haben, findet ihr in den Shownotes. Und natürlich freuen wir uns auf eure Kommentare, auf eure Kontaktaufnahme, wenn ihr auch mal bei uns dabei sein wollt, eure Bannister Meile zu hören. In diesem Sinne, thank you very much, Sam.
You are very welcome.
Yes, Leonard, do you want to say something else?
And Sam, if people have had the same experience as you, how can they reach out? Can they actually reach out to you? Can they contact you?
I've got obviously Facebook, which is just Samuel Roberto Shaw, and then Instagram, which is Super Sam Fitness, and then the website, my gym, which is lemonpt.com. So,
and we will also put this into the show notes, so that's the easiest. And people
of course.
Click. Excellent.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for creating this.
Thank you, Sam.
Danke,
All
Sam.
the best.
Have a good one. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye, Sam.